Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Since our very early childhood, certain traumas can have a great impact in the way we deal with our relationships. The only way to heal certain patterns of behavior is to have a look in your childhood and to start healing your inner child from that point. Many of us had traumas that we don't even know we had. However, certain events have affected us enough to perpetuate a specific behavior in our adult life. You will often find that in most cases, the universe brings you in a position where you have to face your trauma and to reflect on it, as everything that we haven't solved within ourselves keeps coming back to us. Solving childhood trauma is the very foundation for understanding yourself and living a life of fulfillment from now on. Childhood trauma refers to certain events that happened where you experienced a major or minor distress. Let's not forget that every trauma, as small as it is, can be the biggest trauma of our lives because that is all we know. Do not compare trauma with others, telling yourself that there are other people who suffered much more and therefore you're not validating your trauma just because you don't see it as a catastrophe in your life. It's important to take every detail seriously, as now you might be an adult, but when you were a child, this affected you regardless. There are certain traumas that have a higher impact on our growth and the way we see things, such as physical violence, abuse, certain natural disasters, or maybe a person that you love lost their life, or maybe you were in a foster care unit when you were little. But we also have other traumas that maybe we're not even aware of, which affected our behavior, such as not having enough nurturing support from your parents, not receiving enough attention from them, feeling like they were not listening to you, not receiving enough validation for who you are. We learn how to create connection and emotional bonds from our very first years of life. According to what start we have in life, we develop emotional bonds. If someone is not present or makes us feel hurt, this will impact the way we relate towards each other later on, and especially our relationship romantically. Of course, we have a lot of factors that contribute to this, such as the intensity of the trauma, the exposure you had with you and your trauma as well, and for how long. If your mother and father or your caregivers made you feel safe as a child, you will attract romantic partners that give you a safe environment where you do not have to worry too much and there is not much drama. Also, if your childhood was the very opposite, then your relationships have the chance to be like a roller coaster as well. This is actually what is happening in most of the situations. However, we also can have exceptions. Let's not forget that, guys. So let's firstly start with attachment styles. Your early life experiences plays a pivotal role in shaping your perceptions of the world, whether it's seen as secure, daunting, or somewhere in between. Attachment theory delves into how you form relationships, seeking or avoiding intimacy based on these early experiences, often reflecting the bonds established with your primary caregivers or parents. There are four main attachment styles according to this theory. The secure attachment style, which is characterized by a healthy and positive approach to relationships. Individuals with a secure attachment style typically had parents who were consistently responsive and emotionally available during their childhood. As a result, they developed a strong sense of security and trust in their relationships. Let's have a look at the key characteristics of the secure attachment style. Comfort with intimacy. Secure individuals are comfortable with both emotional and physical intimacy. They can express their feelings openly and are receptive to the emotions of their partners. Trust and reliability. They have a fundamental belief that others can be trusted and relied upon. This trust is based on consistent and positive experiences in their early relationships. Autonomy and independence. Secure individuals can strike a balance between intimacy and independence. They value close relationships but also maintain a sense of autonomy and self-reliance. Effective communication. They have developed effective communication skills both in expressing their needs and listening to the needs of their partners. They feel secure in seeking support when necessary as well. Adaptability. Secure individuals are generally adaptable to changes in relationships and life circumstances. They can navigate challenges and conflicts without actually feeling overwhelmed. Emotional regulation. Having experienced emotional support in their early years, secure individuals tend to have well-developed emotional regulation skills. They can manage stress and handle emotions in a very healthy way. Individuals with a secure attachment style often have a positive self-image. They believe in their own worthiness of love and are less likely to struggle with self-esteem issues. The secure attachment style serves as a solid foundation for forming and maintaining healthy relationships. Securely attached individuals are more likely to build a fulfilling, long-lasting connection with others, as they bring a sense of security, trust, and open communication into their relationships. Let's have a look at the anxious or anxious preoccupied attachment style. This one is a very insecure attachment pattern identified in this attachment theory. It typically developed when caregivers are inconsistently responsive to a child's needs during early development, leading to an increased fear of abandonment and a heightened need for reassurance in adult relationships. Here are some key characteristics of the anxious preoccupied attachment style. Fear of abandonment. Individuals with an anxious attachment style often have a deep-seated fear of being abandoned by their partners. This fear can lead to anxiety and a constant need for reassurance that they are loved and valued. Anxious individuals seek constant validation and approval from their partners. They might feel a persistent need to hear expressions of love and reassurance to alleviate their fears of rejection. Intense emotional responses. They may experience heightened emotional responses to relationship dynamics, interpreting situations as more threatening or significant than they might be. This intensity can lead to emotional volatility and difficulty in managing stress. Individuals with this attachment style may feel that their partners rarely care enough for them. This perception, even if inaccurate, contributes to their need for continuous reassurance. Overanalyzing relationships. Anxious, preoccupied individuals often overanalyze relationships and interactions, looking for signs of potential rejection or abandonment. This constant vigilance can create stress and strain on the relationship. Difficulty in trusting. Well, trusting may be a significant challenge for those with an anxious, preoccupied attachment style. Past experiences of inconsistent caregiving contribute to a sense that others might not always be reliable or trustworthy. There may be a tendency to cling to their partners, both emotionally and physically, as a way of seeking security and validation. This behavior can sometimes create strain in the relationships as well. It's important to note that these attachment styles are not fixed and can evolve over time with self-awareness and personal growth. Individuals with an anxious attachment style can develop more secure patterns through therapy, self-reflection, and building a healthier relationship dynamic. But let's have a look at the dismissive avoidant attachment style, which is another insecure attachment pattern identified in the attachment theory. It often develops when caregivers or parents are emotionally unavailable or unresponsive to a child's needs during early development. Individuals with a dismissive avoidant attachment style tend to create emotional distance in their adult relationships and may have difficulty forming close emotional bonds. Here are some key characteristics of the dismissive avoidant attachment style. Fear of emotional intimacy. Well, they have a fear of actually Being vulnerable, they may avoid getting too close to others emotionally, viewing emotional expression as a sign of vulnerability. Independence and self-reliance. Those with this attachment style value independence and self-reliance. They may prioritize self-sufficiency and may feel uncomfortable relying on others for emotional support. Avoidance and closeness. Dismissive avoidant individuals may continuously and consciously or unconsciously avoid forming deep emotional connections with others. They might prefer to keep a certain level of emotional distance to protect themselves from potential emotional pain. Distrust of others. There might be a general distrust of others or a belief that the others are not entirely trustworthy. This distrust can be a defense mechanism developed as a response to early experiences of unresponsiveness from caregivers. Emotional unavailability. Individuals with a dismissive attachment style may appear emotionally unavailable to their partners. They may downplay the importance of emotions and be uncomfortable with emotional expressions from themselves or others. Minimization of relationship importance. Dismissive avoidant individuals may minimize the importance of close relationships in their lives. They may prioritize other aspects of life, such as work or personal achievements, over relational connection. Difficulty expressing needs. There can be difficulty expressing emotional needs or vulnerabilities. The avoidance of emotional closeness may extend to a reluctance to communicate one's own emotional needs or desires in a relationship. It's crucial to recognize this type of attachment style, but this is not something permanent or fixed, guys. Don't forget this, right? So let's dive into the last one, the fearful avoidant attachment style. I'm curious even myself about this. Let's have a look. Well, it's also known as disorganized attachment. So is another insecure attachment. By the way, bear in mind that this is the most dangerous type of attachment style. So if you get attached to a disorganized person, actually this is to a disorganized person who has a disorganized attachment style. That's what I mean to say. Actually, this person can make you feel addicted to their presence as your body is releasing certain endorphins, and you might feel that you're getting crazy after them just because they are not actually showing you something as in a pattern of connection. They are always disorganized with the way they approach you. So individuals with this attachment style often experience conflicting desires for intimacy and a fear of getting too close as well due to concerns about potential emotional pain or rejection. This attachment style typically develops in response to inconsistent or abusive caregiving during early development. Here are some key characteristics of the fearful avoidant attachment style. Individuals with this style, they may experience a strong desire for closeness and love, but simultaneously fear emotional intimacy. This conflict can lead to internal struggles and ambivalence in relationships. They have mixed emotions. There may be a constant push-pull dynamic in relationships where the individual desires connection but also fears vulnerability and emotional pain. This ambivalence can make it challenging to establish and maintain stable relationships. The need for reassurance is also something to take a note of. Fearful avoidant individuals may crave attention, love, and reassurance from their partners. However, they may also struggle with trusting that their needs will be met or that they are genuinely loved. Avoidance of emotional intimacy. Similar to the dismissive avoidant style, there might be a tendency to avoid emotional closeness and to protect oneself from potential hurt as well. This avoidance can manifest as a difficulty expressing deeper emotions or, again, sharing vulnerabilities. Can you see, guys, how there are certain elements that are repeating in each type of attachment style, especially the last three ones? This is because they are all of them coming from the same source: the fear of not being loved, the fear of rejection, There is often a deep-seated fear of rejection and abandonment stemming from early experiences of inconsistent parenting. This fear can impact the individual's ability to trust others, and this has an imprint in his relationships. This affects the relationships this person is forming afterwards. The fearful avoidant individuals struggle with setting clear boundaries in relationships. They can oscillate between a desire for connection and a fear of being engulfed, making it challenging to establish healthy and consistent boundaries. Due to the internal conflict between the desire for closeness and the fear of vulnerability, individuals with this attachment style may engage in self-sabotaging behaviors that create distance in relationships. Let's see how attachment styles can influence communication. Attachment styles significantly influence how individuals communicate in relationships. Secure individuals tend to communicate openly, while anxious individuals may seek constant reassurance. Avoidants may minimize emotions, and fearful avoidants may struggle with consistent communication. The impact of childhood trauma extends to the way one communicates as an adult, often reflecting the communication patterns observed during formative years. For instance, if your upbringing involved frequent confrontations marked by raised voices, you might unconsciously replicate these patterns in your adult relationships, believing it to be a normal way to handle conflict. Expressing emotions or discussing important matters may be challenging, mirroring the difficulties you witnessed in early communication dynamics. Several communication styles may be linked to your past experiences or those modeled by others, such as passive, which is characterized by indirect, self-denying, or apologetic communication. This style may stem from early exposure to similar patterns. Then we have the passive-aggressive, involving emotionally dishonest communication that serves to benefit oneself at the expenses of others. This style may develop as a defense mechanism learned from past interactions. Then we have aggressive, direct, attacking, and sometimes inappropriate for certain situations. This style may be adopted if it was a prevalent way of communicating in your early environment. Communication styles are learned behaviors that evolve over time. The encouraging aspect is that just as they were acquired, these styles can be unlearned. Through intentional efforts and a willingness to change, one can develop healthier and more effective ways of communicating, fostering more positive and constructive interactions in relationships. Conflict resolution. Securely attached individuals are often effective in navigating conflicts, where those with insecure attachment styles may struggle. Anxious individuals may fear conflict, avoidance may withdraw, and fearful avoidance may engage in self-sabotaging behavior during disagreements. Trust and intimacy. Trust is a crucial element in love relationships. Secure individuals find it easier to trust and establish emotional intimacy, while insecure attachment styles may lead to trust issues, fear of abandonment, and challenges in achieving deep emotional connection. Understanding one's attachment style and that of a partner can be instrumental in fostering self-awareness and promoting healthier relationship dynamics. Through self-reflection, open communication, and potentially seeking therapy, individuals can work towards developing more secure attachment patterns and building satisfying and lasting love relationships. Our body and brain's responses to trauma can shape the way we experience boundaries in relationships. These reactions correspond to various boundaries patterns, so let's have a look. Fight. The inclination to assert one's needs forcefully into others, potentially imposing a personal narrative and resonating to attacking others if necessary. This can lead to self-absorption. Flight. Manifesting as anxiety surrounding closeness and intimacy, this pattern involves consistently finding reasons to avoid getting close to others or expressing emotional needs directly. It often results in social and emotional isolation. Then we have freeze, the boundary of you just get in the freeze mode basically. This involves passive detachment, zoning out, and seeking ways to avoid conflict. It often leads to self-alienation, procrastination, and impulsive behavior as a means of coping. Then we have another pattern which is called submit, which revolves around exclusively prioritizing others' needs while degrading or being oblivious to one's own needs. Individuals adopting this pattern may experience guilt and self-criticism for having their own needs. So we also have attach, characterized by feeling overwhelmed with a strong, painful need for the other person. This pattern can result in a sense of being stuck, feeling sad, lonely, emotionally needy, and at times even desperate. In summary, these trauma-related responses translate into distinct boundary styles that influence how individuals navigate and perceive their relationships. Understanding these patterns is crucial, guys, for your personal growth, as it allows your development and your own self-growth, and it kind of makes you a much better individual as well, and a healthier one, and you can adapt to every situation. If you understand someone's pattern, you know where this is coming from, and therefore you're not taking someone's behavior as personal as you would if you wouldn't know why they behave in a certain way. You would just think that, oh, this person is just very mean to me right now. Actually, if you would see that they had certain childhood traumas, they went through their own processes, you will just take off the burden from your own shoulders and just accept it much better as it is, as well as doing something about it. Yes, because the whole purpose of me bringing you awareness for this is so that you can do something about it. So I hope this helps you guys to gain a clear picture and find answers. I will see you in the next video.